Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You guys know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Tonight we have a horrific case that comes to us. It comes close to the heart here. It's one of my former NYPD co-workers' granddaughter, Danika Troy, murdered, 14 years old. Not only was she murdered by her friend, she was burned after she was killed. This is a horrific, horrific case. If you suffer from any type of PTSD, I suggest you step out now, because this case that we're about to cover, on behalf of my good friend, that's the grandfather, Kerry Troy, this one is unbelievable. Ed, your thoughts before we get into it?
Yes, it's a terrible crime, horrific crime, committed by two juveniles, 14 and 16, if you can imagine. And it's just so heinous, and it's just a sign of a sick society that we're living in these days, and a lack of parenting, understanding of what your kids are doing and where they are. And it's just mind-boggling that these kids could have done something so heinous here. And I do believe if you commit adult crimes, then you must do adult time.
Yeah, and we heard that from Sheriff Bob Johnson. He made that statement at the press conference. And Danika was a happy-go-lucky girl living her best life. And these two monsters, these are, subhuman. These are the worst of the worst, 14 and 16 years old. I'm only going to name their names once. Williams, which was 16, Gabrielle, and Kamari Blevins, 14 years old. These are teenagers. These are not even developed, adults. These are young kids. And to have what they did happen to Danika was just something that's, out of a horror movie. And I'm just going to play a little piece for everybody so they can watch a little bit of it. If you've heard of this case, put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't heard of it, put a 2. Her family is watching. Her mom, Ashley, and also her grandfather is watching Kerry at this time. So please, guys, make sure you're, respectful in the chat. We have a lot of unanswered questions. Investigations are ongoing, but these two monsters are going to be tried as adults. And that's the good news that we have here to report to you tonight. Let's take a listen.
A local teenager lured into some woods and murdered.
The victim, a 14-year-old girl, found shot and burned. As WKRG News 5's Kate Sherman reports, 2 other teens are now charged with her murder.
Investigators say 14-year-old Danika Troy disappeared on November 30th. Deputies found her remains 2 days later in a wooded area in Pace, Florida, off Kimberly Road. Santa Rosa County Sheriff Bob Johnson says her body was badly burned and surrounded by shell casings.
Needless to say, not only the person who found the body was traumatized, our major crimes detectives have to see stuff like this. You don't want to go out and see a burnt child with bullet holes.
You can see how isolated this area is. Investigators say this location was deliberately chosen, and that surveillance video and witness interviews helped them piece together what happened the hours before Danika Troy was killed. A 16-year-old and a 14-year-old were arrested and charged with premeditated murder.
Here's where it even gets worse. It's bad enough you kill a 14-year-old, you're 14, you're 16, shoot her multiple times, then they set her on fire.
According to the arrest report, the boys planned the murder together. The report says they intended to only shoot her once, but the 16-year-old continued shooting her. When interviewed, the 16-year-old said his feelings were hurt after the victim called him a worthless gangbanger.
I can tell you this, we're going to be hopefully working with the state attorney's office to get these individuals charged as adults. You do an adult crime, you need to do adult time.
In Santa Rosa County,
Amen.
So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't get worse than that. When I first heard about it on Sunday, this passing Sunday, and I'll just give you guys a little backstory of this. I had no knowledge of what was going on with this. And then this Sunday that just passed, I got a phone call from a former NYPD police officer that I worked with and said, hey, Kerry was interested, Kerry Troy, who's the grandfather, is interested in, if you would, talk about this case and put it out there to get some, eyes and ears on it, because it wasn't being picked up nationally. And that seems to be picked up nationally now because Fox was on it this morning. I saw the Post had it. But on December 30th, which was last Sunday, a week ago Sunday, Danika went out of the home at night, unbeknownst to her mom. And then early in the morning on December 1st, her mother reported her missing. She didn't report her as a runaway or, a runaway child. The police labeled her that. On 12/2 the next day, a passerby, and it turns out this is a person who is a perp. He got arrested too. And I'm going to give his name because his name is out there public. It's Mitchell Eddins, 45. He came across Danika's burnt body along with her private scooter and some of her clothing was there, a shoe. He didn't take that, but he took the scooter, left the location, and went back home and told his roommates and the people he lives with about it. And they said, you better report that to the police. But Mr. Eddins didn't do that. And the police went to the location. Somebody must have made a phone call or draw them to that location. And later on, after they processed that crime scene, and Ed, we're going to talk about the crime scene and what kind of steps get taken by forensics and so forth. But Mr. Eddins was arrested for stealing her scooter, taking it home, putting it in his house, and failure to notify the police or the medical examiner of human remains. So you come across something like that, it's your duty to call 911 and make a notification. And he failed to do that. And this guy seems to be a real piece of work. So that's a bit of the backstory to this. The mom reported her missing, not as a runaway, as the news is reporting. Her mom, Ashley, is heartbroken, as we all could expect. She's really having a rough time with this. Danika was friends and was, according to her mom, was in a relationship with Gabrielle Williams. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. They were seeing each other. How a 14 and a 16-year-old gets together. The mom said that they were, it wasn't, it's common knowledge. Everybody knew it. And this other boy that was arrested and charged as an adult, Blevins, they were friends too. So she wasn't coaxed out to go out to the woods in the middle of nowhere by these random people they went to school together. They had history. So she was brought out there for a reason. They had a plan, Ed, and they got her out there. And who brings gasoline when they go to meet up with somebody? Was the gasoline container planted out there already? We don't know. Was she shot and killed before gasoline doused on her and burned? We hope so. We hope that she did not suffer in a manner of being burned alive. Ed, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I spoke with her mom today and she was real concerned about that. How can medical examiners in the forensics community determine that?
Okay, so when we I've had numerous cases just like this, and when we have a body that's badly burnt, you will look at the air passages, the inside of the nasal cavities, the inside of the mouth and throat, and then down into the trachea. The autopsy will look into the trachea and the lungs to see if soot are down in the lungs, okay, and in the nose and nasal passages in the mouth and so forth. If they are, then it's an indication that they were alive at the time of the fire and inhaled the smoke, fumes, flames. And there will also be damage to the lungs because of inhaling the superheated gases that come from them. Then there will also be some carbon monoxide levels that are increased beyond normal levels because of that exposure as well. It's a very horrific way to die. I've had several cases where females and a male and a female were all burnt alive, and that's how they died. One was a case out of actually it started in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, and a witness in the witness protection under witness protection to testify against a gun and drug gang called the Raleigh Boys down in North Carolina, was supposedly being protected in a hotel before she was to give testimony, and then she was kidnapped and driven all the way to Brooklyn, New York, by the gang, where they brought her into secluded area off of Pennsylvania Avenue by the Belt Parkway at that time, which was all wetlands, and they set this woman on fire while she was alive. And again, the evidence was at autopsy. And there's also another thing that happens when people are burnt alive. They go into what's called a pugilistic stance. So they're lying down, and then they're, because of the fire, the heat and so forth, all of the moisture and liquid in the muscles evaporate, and then the hands will come up and look like you're in a fighting pose, and then the legs and the knees will bend up towards the abdomen, and a lot of times that's how you find those victims. In another case, there was an arsonist in New York City Housing Authority in NYCHA, and I know Joey Brooklyn's here, and it was hot. It was the summertime. The arsonist went up to the roof on the staircase and held open that roof door with a cinder block, and then went down to the lobby and held open the lobby door, creating a wind tunnel effect from the lobby going up. There were two teenagers that were boyfriend and girlfriend making out in the staircase, and he lit a fire with a mattress on the lobby floor in the staircase. And unbeknownst to NYCHA at the time, I guess, is that the paint they used was quite flammable. And with the heat building up and everything, that flame just raced up the stairs like a bullet train. And the two teenagers were killed right where they were sitting on the stairs making out, as the flames just ran right over them like a train on the way to the roof of the building. It was quite horrific. And there's actually a photograph of me in Time magazine, on the cover of Time magazine, processing a crime scene on a staircase with a looking for fingerprints, and just beneath me you see a burnt arm sticking upward towards where I'm standing, and this victim had been set on fire as well after being shot.
Yeah, horrible. Like I said, I know that this family was told that it could take several months before the remains of their loved one, Danika, comes back to them. So I'm hoping that there will be some answers for them as it pertains to what her mom was saying to me today. Is like, I want to know, or I'm just, it's eating me alive to not know exactly how.
Well, the autopsy will give her the definitive answer to that question.
Right. So moving forward, these two vicious monsters, these teenagers right here, 14 years old. On the right is the younger one, Blevins, and on the left is Williams. They are going to be charged as adults, and that's a good thing. But what we have questions for is how this 16-year-old perp, how is he able to get his hands on his mother's gun Actually, it wasn't his mother. It turned out to be, I believe, his aunt, because his mom had passed away in the past. So the aunt was his guardian, and she was incarcerated. He happened to manage to get her 9mm weapon. She's a felon. She's not supposed to have weapons. So there's questions about whether there'll be any further charges for the mom for not securing that illegal firearm that she had.
Well,
Let's take a listen to this. From
where's the adult supervision of this child? If her guardian, the aunt, was in prison or in jail at the time of he went and got her gun from the residence, I believe, right?
Yeah.
What supervision was he under?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're going to listen to this because it was from this morning. It was Fox News. They had like a family counselor unrelated to this case, but he talked pretty strongly about parental supervision and so forth as it pertains to these two monsters. So let's listen in.
In Florida have been arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder in the fatal shooting of 14-year-old Danika Troy, which took place in a wooded area. Police also saying her remains were set on fire and believe the killing was the result of a fight between the victim and one of the suspects on social media. Danika's mom says the two boys lured her into the woods. Quote, Gabe pretended to have feelings for her. That's how she was lured.
Yeah, and I want to just also add to this that the fight on social media, that narrative is what was told to the investigators by the Williams perp. He told that story that they were fighting over Thanksgiving over comments back and forth on the internet. And we all know computer crimes is going to get a hold of all of the digital data, all of the online activity from any and all social media back and forth, including text messaging. And if there was in fact a fight of words back and forth, it still does not justify murder. So that's just another thing that I spoke for about an hour on the phone with Ashley. That's Danika's mom, Ashley Troy. And she, I got to give her a lot of kudos because she had enough strength to talk about her daughter with me. And she did get upset a few times, but she held it together and she spoke very highly of her daughter. And we'll get into that in a little bit.
I still need answers. I'm just left asking why. Pretended to have two boys lured her into the woods. Quote, Gabe pretended to have feelings for her. That's how she was lured. I still need answers. I'm just left asking why. She just wanted to be in love. Family therapist Tom Kirsten joins me now. Tom, my goodness. I mean, we wanted to have you on to help us digest this because this is every parent's worst nightmare on both sides, both victim and perpetrator. And generally speaking, because we don't know the dynamics of the families that these suspects were involved in, but how do two young people, two teenagers, how do they go from being young kids, innocent, to this act of violence that they're being accused of?
Well, almost inevitably, Carly, it is the family dynamics. We don't have the background yet, but I'm going to tell you what it is, right? Just some experience. So both of these young boys definitely have something known as conduct disorder. So if you're under the age of 18, that would be the diagnosis. For individuals over the age of 18, it's antisocial personality disorder. And people with these traits have violent tendencies, criminal-like behaviors, and inevitably come from a very dysfunctional household. So we're definitely going to hear more about the background of the household, but kids that are raised in a loving, caring environment often do not go down this path. And this is the extreme version, where they take this young lady, this young girl into the woods and in a premeditated way and shoot her and then burn her alive.
Burn her.
Yeah, you're talking about the two very, very disturbed individuals.
I mean, and you look at the images, they're mug shots. Interesting that they were released 14 and 16 years old. And you could see in their faces, they're children. I mean, they're babies.
Ed, did you find that? I found it very, like, for me, as you know, within the profession that we're in, I was surprised that they did release at the press conference. We saw the sheriff over in Santa Clara, in Santa Rosa County, Bob Johnson. We saw him with Cassie Carley as well, that Cassie Carley case. He released their photos, just like you would see Sheriff Grady Judd do. And the only thing he didn't do is put out pictures, but it was on two monitors. And this is a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. I think it's good that they did that, because hiding the identities of these monsters, showing the world what these monsters did to Danika, on a national level on the big stage. I think that's pretty. It's a good step towards keeping someone like this in check. And people look at this and say, "Oh, well, they're not supposed to do that." Well, I disagree. I think that it's good that they did it.
Yeah, well, most people don't. Most press conferences, you wouldn't get this because of their age. But you could see clearly in the sheriff's words and his actions, he believes, as I do, if you do adult crime, you do adult time. Okay, stop making excuses for the behavior. I get the antisocial behavior. I get the dysfunctional family stuff. I get all of that. Okay. All right. But there are consequences for your actions. You chose this path. You plotted this path. This was conceived and executed after planning. They obtained the weapon. They obtained the gas. They did the texting on social media posts to get her to come and meet them at this location. And they pulled the trigger. Okay. So, there are consequences for your actions, and now you got to pay for it. Okay. I don't want to hear shit about your age and, that I shouldn't be held responsible because, I come from a dysfunctional family. My mom died. I don't know where my dad is, or, I don't want to hear the woe is me bullshit. Okay. Right. This is crazy.
Yeah. This was a calculated, heinous, horrific crime. Something that there's not many cases that we cover that are this horrific, where it involves such violence. We have a bona fide GoFundMe that is created by the church. Danika and her mom were very involved in the church and their community, the religious community, and their friends from the church are looking out for them. And this GoFundMe is linked here in the description. We are going to make a $500 donation on behalf of CrimeTime with DutyRon and Ed Wallace and our entire community. But I'm asking you guys, if you could, every dollar counts. Ashley is going to have to, she has an 8-year-old daughter. I forgot to even mention that, but she has a daughter. A daughter who is attached, as she told me today, attached to Danika. They were inseparable. And now this young little innocent girl, her daughter, is going to have to continue on. And these funds from this GoFundMe will help with not only funeral expenses, but all of the medical attention and this counseling and the things that are going to be needed. She's a single mom. She was raising these two girls on her own. And working hard. So please, if you guys have $1 to spend, if you have anything, but on behalf of this community, we're going to make that $500 donation to the GoFundMe. And I think it's important that we listen to the sheriff's press conference, because some folks here have not seen this case or heard of it, because not a lot of people are talking about it. You could see that the algorithm, they're kind of not pushing it out. So it's not really going out to many people, but I think that it's important that everybody hears what the sheriff, Bob Johnson, had to say. This was on the 4th of December, so it was last week. Let's take a listen. And I apologize for the quality of the stream, but this is the best that I have. So let's let it play.
December 1st, around 7 a.m., Danika Troy, a 14-year-old, was reported as a runaway by her mother in Pace, Florida. Unbeknownst to the mother, unfortunately, Danika was murdered the previous night. On December 2nd, deputies in Pace responded to a dead body call off of Kimberly Road. Detectives were called out, hit the ground running. And I want to say this, we've had more homicides this year than normal. And our major crimes unit, who I'll put up against any major crimes unit in the country, has done a wonderful job. And so they're still working on this one from November 25th, and they get this one. So December 2nd, they get out there, they start the investigations. And this is where it gets really, horrific, actually. They developed 2 suspects, one a 14-year-old boy and another one a 16-year-old boy. The 16-year-old boy, Gabriel Williams, stole his mother's handgun and shot Danika Troy. Kamari Blevins is the 14-year-old. Put their pictures up. They're currently at DJJ. They're being held on first-degree premeditated murder charges. And here's where it even gets worse. It's bad enough you kill a 14-year-old, you're 14, you're 16, shoot her multiple times, then they set her on fire. So deputies get out there, they hit the ground running, they find both suspects, we get them in custody, and right now there's not a clear motive. But I can tell you this, we're going to be hopefully working with the state attorney's office to get these individuals charged as adults. You do an adult crime, you need to do adult time. So that's going to be the next effort we're putting forth. So,
and that effort has come to fruition. Today, I had someone contact the sheriff's office, contact the district attorney's office, and through emails back and forth, and I was able to view those emails. It looks like they got it done, and it really got done because Florida has a law, Chapter 985. Look it up, Chapter 985, under the juvenile code. It gives a prosecutor the option to charge 14 and older. So if Blevins was 13, this chapter 985 would not be able to be invoked. But because he was 14 and God is good here, both of these monsters, animals, I don't even want to call them animals, these sick, twisted, psychopathic murderers are now going to be charged as adults. So that's the good news.
any questions about this homicide?
Yeah, what was the relation between the shooters and the victim?
Friends, supposedly? Yeah.
Any word on, have they been interrogated yet? I mean, is there any word on a motive?
No, not on a motive, but, well, of course, they have been interviewed, but the motive that they're giving doesn't fit the forensics or any facts of the case. So we don't.
Ed, what did you glean from that statement there? It doesn't fit the forensics, their motive and what they said that they did or why they did it. It does not fit the facts of the case.
Well, the forensics of the case said that they were disputing the witness statements, and that happens a lot. And thank God that if you have a good forensic team and you're working hand in hand with the investigating detectives, the detectives should always bounce off the crime scene investigators what the witnesses are telling them, and asking the crime scene investigators is this information that I'm relaying to you, what the witness is telling us, is that accurate, or it doesn't match what you're seeing at the crime scene?
Right.
And apparently, so they gave statements that didn't match the evidence that was found at the crime scene. I mean, it could be something, it would be totally speculating what it is. I mean, it could be the movements of and or the interaction of the suspects and the victim.
Right.
Okay. It could have been where things were obtained, like the gas. It could have been any number of things.
And don't forget, Bob Johnson here states, Ed, and I know you listen to this, they have a cooperating witness who's been unidentified, that told them that Williams and Blevins planned to murder Danika. So there's a third party that was privy to this plan, whether it be another friend, whether it be somebody that was on social media inside a group chat. It could be a multitude of any different possibilities, but thank God that there was someone that came forward and is now a cooperating witness that gave statements to the fact of what these monsters were planning to do. So,
we've seen some similar things like this happen up here, it was gang initiation killings.
Right.
Like these young kids would have to do this to get into the gang, that kind of thing. And we know more and more now that the gangbangers are using these underage kids because they know that typically these underage kids aren't treated as adults, and they won't do time for the crimes that they're doing as gang members because of their age. And and because of that, these kids keep going out and doing these crimes over and over again, and it's a revolving door justice system.
Yeah. 100%, Ed. And the thing of it is when you see a sheriff like this go at them with such vigor, it makes me happy, and it gives me a sense of pride for law enforcement, because this, if any case that is, out there and is in the public eye, this is a case that needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of law because of the heinous nature of what they did. These aren't people that are going to be reformed with time inside prison. These aren't people who are going to be able to get out and be productive citizens and within our population. These are not people that should be walking free amongst us. And unfortunately, there's so many that are that are out there that are unidentified, and that's why we keep seeing crimes and like this and things of this nature happening. But let's listen to the rest of this, because a couple of more reporters volley some good questions to him.
On a motive, but well, of course, they have been interviewed, but the motive that they're giving doesn't fit the forensics or any facts of the case. So we don't have a legit motive. No, not at this point. Not until we talk to the state attorney's office and get some more things hashed out. But I can tell you this. This is what Major Crimes calls a ground ball. The evidence pointed to them immediately. They took them into custody immediately. And, unfortunately for, the Troy family, they have to go through this. So.
I know they're young, but any criminal history?
I think we've had run-ins with them before, as in being arrested. I don't know if they have any.
Any charges for mother?
Oh, not at this time, no.
He asked any charges for the mother. And again, I believe it's the aunt. His mom is deceased. But I believe that will be revisited. I sincerely believe that will be revisited. Folks that are here and that are, asking questions. And so we're going to take questions at the end. And I'm also going to go over some health victories that I have going on. And we're going to talk about what's going on with me. I just needed to get this out there and cover this, and we'll take your questions at the end.
Do you expect any charges for any of the parents?
We're still looking into it, so I can't really say.
How long has it been since a murder has happened kind of like this before here in this area?
I would say the last one, probably Escambia, where the two kids killed their parent. I mean, that was the last one. I think that was in the 90s. Unfortunately, homicides, you have them, and normally it's adult, or sometimes maybe it's a juvenile adult. But this is the first one since I've been sheriff. I've been sheriff since 2016. So.
You might have already said this, but what led you guys to find the body? Was there a 911 call? Did someone stumble across this?
Yeah, somebody stumbled across the body, called us, and then that's how we found it. So, and needless to say, not only the person who found the body was traumatized, our major crimes detectives have to see stuff like this. You don't want to go out and see a burnt child with bullet holes. I mean, that's not something you sign up for, but unfortunately, you get put in that position.
Hey, I want to say the sheriff did a great job too, because on the 4th, he knew that this third person, Mitchell Edens, was arrested. He didn't let it out here, and he probably did it for the integrity of the case, or maybe they didn't know officially, Ed, like you said. Maybe they were curious to see if he had any involvement. So I think that was good that he didn't mention Edens here, because this was on the 4th. He was collared on the 3rd, the day before. So it just tells me that they did their due diligence, and for a defense attorney to come and try to twist this and say it was the indigent, unemployed homeless guy or whatever he is, it might make it harder for them now, because they did their due diligence on this guy. Apparently, according to the arrest report, and it's 7 pages, he basically did what I said in the beginning. He came across this, he saw the scooter, he saw an opportunity to take the scooter, and he saw the remains of Danika, and he failed to make a 911 call. Went back and told numerous people about it. They're probably the ones that made that 911 call that he was just referring to here, not Edens, because Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten arrested if he would have went back home and said, "Oh my God, go over here. There's this." But he didn't do that. They went and collared him almost 24 hours later. So good news reporters asking good questions at that press conference. I'm encouraging everybody here, and this is the best thing that you could do. If you want to do something, like people always say to us, Ed, how could we help? How could we do something? Help this mom. Help this young 8-year-old daughter who's left, as we always say, the victims, the surviving victims' families are the ones who are having to live a lifetime through this horror. And if you want to help, the GoFundMe is scrolling at the bottom and it's linked in the description. All you got to do is click on it. I am running out of gas right now, Ed. I want to go to you for final words because I'm starting to lose it. So
Yeah, me too. Well, this goes back to good parenting, in my opinion. Okay. You bring a child into this world. You are responsible for that child, and you are that child's teacher. You should be teaching them right from wrong. You should be teaching them morals and values, and you should know everything about what your child is doing and who are they hanging out with, and the old adage, you are who your friends are, or you are who you hang out with, or whatever the case.
Company you keep.
Yeah, judged by the company you keep, right? It is apparent to me that these two juveniles required a lot more supervision. Today's day and age, parents aren't teaching their kids these things. Parents don't want to be parents. They want to be their child's best friend. And no, that's not your job. Your job is to teach these children right from wrong, to teach them values and morals and respect, and how to have conflict resolution, how to deal with various issues in life.
Without violence.
Right. It's parenting is not, buying your kid a smartphone and letting them go anywhere they like on the internet and talk to whoever they want around the world, or plopping a television in front of the kid as you do these daily activities or whatever the case may be. And where's the father? Where's the father in this whole picture here? Okay. Yeah. Now the mother's dead and he's staying with a relative. Is the relative have custody of this child now? Okay.
Yeah, I know, but she's a felon. We know that. Ed, it's a learning. It's an opportunity for learning for people who are single parents, for people who are seeing less than normal behavior from your child. You got to step in, and silence sometimes isn't the best thing. This is the GoFundMe honoring Danika Troy, helping her family with the service and costs and so forth. There's $26,000 raised, and that's great. But I'd like to see us break this over $30,000 to support them. 500 of mine coming from us will go in this, and that'll raise it up to 27 for. I hope that folks can see it in their best. Look, Maria Arnett, $1,000 donation. Here's some names that I know from the PSA. Jimmy Casano, him and his wife are made a donation there. I want to share something with you guys while we show pictures of Danika and her mom, Ashley. She's on her mom's shoulders here. Ashley spoke to me for an hour today while I was at the office, and she told me a story about her daughter and how giving and how in tune and sensitive she was to the homeless community that was on the outskirts during COVID. Now, this is going back to 2020, so a good 5 years ago. She was, 9 years old, 10 years old. The mom was doing Uber Eats and like DoorDash stuff to make extra money, and people couldn't get food. Remember that whole COVID thing where, nobody was going out, the stores, the restaurants were closed. So Ashley was doing Uber Eats with her daughters, and they were in the car, and she would do the deliveries, and the kids would stay in the car, and they ran across some homeless people, and they kept coming by these homeless people on the street. And Danica said to her mom, "Mommy, can we feed them? Can we make sandwiches and feed them?" And Ashley said, "That's a great idea." So in the mornings after she made that suggestion, they would make handmade sandwiches, cold cut sandwiches, and wrap them up. And they would not get out of the car, but they would just give it to them through the window of the car. And the homeless folks in some of the areas in the outskirts of where they live and where they were doing these deliveries, it was Danica's idea to feed the homeless. And I mean, coming from a 9-year-old girl, I mean, that to me speaks volumes about her heart, So I almost cried when she told me that story. I held it in, but it was just so heartwarming to hear this sweet young teenager. And at that time, when she was under 10 years old, she made that suggestion to her mom, and she said it so sweetly to her mommy, let's feed the homeless. And they did that. So these are some of the things, some of the takeaways that you have to, chalk up to. This was a girl who could have been really somebody special, and she was in not even that prime of her life. She was a teenager. She could have, really did some good in this world. So I want to share with you guys some of my cancer journey. I had the spinal fluid, CSF, I think it was cerebral spinal fluid, withdrawn from my spine from the spinal tap. And that came back with no cancer. There's a tumor in there, very small one. They call it a spine sheath tumor. And that took care of that. I mean, it took me a long time to get to the finish line. Ed, you call me every day. Well, what's the result? I found out just today that there was no cancer cells in there, but there's 2 other lesions off of my spine that now we have to tackle those. We have the confirmation of thyroid cancer, but they want to just watch that active surveillance. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm still on muscle relaxers and all these different kind of medications that makes me really tired. You might hear it in my voice. I'm losing my voice right now, and this is what happens at night. So I'm running out of gas, but I want to thank everybody who sent super chats. Joyce, thank you for becoming a new member. Itty Bitty, thank you for becoming a new member and back again. Megan, welcome to the membership. Cheryl F. Ed and I love when they gift out memberships. Thank you for gifting 5.
Thank you.
Rosemarie Jarvis, thank you for the 10. She says, thank you for covering this in prayers. This is one of my PSA2 alumni. This is Marcelo Luke. He was the one who called me on Sunday and said, Kerry wants to talk to you. That's Danica's grandfather, Kerry Troy. I shared a locker room, those long benches that we had in the locker rooms. He was 2 lockers down from me, the grandpa. And he was a 15-year or 20-year, 15-ish year hairbag at the time. When I came in, he said, rookie, follow my lead. I'm going to take care of you. He goes, don't leave your shirt out because I might need a new one. You look like about my size. But yeah, Marcelo, thank you so much for the 50 super chat. We'll redirect that back to the GoFundMe. Princess Mitch, thank you. Look at this, 71 months. Let's all try to donate and support this family during a terrible time. Yeah. Please, we don't ask anybody ever to donate or to, send super chats to us because we're not here for that. But in this case, if you $1, every bit of it counts, just $1. And if you put a donation in there, just maybe put a note in, DutyRon family or CrimeTime with DutyRon community. Beamer, thank you for that. Sending prayers. Cheryl, thank you again, member for 29 months. Justice for Danica Troy. Yeah, that's what this is about. Thunderhorse, thank you for being a member for over 20 months. She says, Danica, rest in peace, sweet angel. Yeah. Joey Brooklyn, 56 months. Look at this guy. Did a great job at Diker Heights the other night. I saw you there.
Yeah, I just jumped on at the end, yeah.
Yeah, donating $1 really goes a long way and helps. Yeah. Yep. Schmitty's in the house. Love you all. 49 months. I love this family so much. Much love. Thank you, Schmitty. And Jennifer Nobles of Bakersfield, California. She's been around for well over 56 months, and she's a platinum member. Please try to help if you can and donate any amount that is affordable to you. $1, $5, $10. Any amount will help this family. You can type You can type 0 for GoFundMe tip. FYI, it's not necessary to tip on that platform. Absolutely. I think all of the funds will go, or maybe a very small percentage they take, but I'm not 100% sure. Karen Cole, our legal-minded friends, our lawyer in the UK, member for 39 months, she says, bring back praying in schools. Teach people, that these young folks, that there are consequences. You know, unfortunately, this is where Danika ran into these two monsters in school. So schools aren't always the safest place. She ran into and met these monsters at school. They weren't lifelong friends of her. She met them in school and fairly recently. So Terry, thank you for the 10. Always praying for you, Ron. Thank you. Dawn Marie, love you. 66 months. Mad love, DutyRon. Feel good. Thank you. Yarn Barf, that's our yarning community up north. Remember, 40 months, she's here and letting us know. Jen, no run, thank you for the 10. Thank you, DutyRon, for coming on and sharing this tragic story with everyone. I wish you healing, hope, and much love to you, my friend. Love you. Thank you. I wouldn't have done, let me say this. I didn't know about this case, but I would have never been live tonight if I wasn't asked by my fellow brother in blue, Kerry Troy, to do this, grandfather of Danika. Ed, you know it. I said it to you before.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm usually curled up on the couch or in bed at this time. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you all. I'm going to go and make that donation now. I'm going to refresh this GoFundMe real quick. $26,412. Anonymous 15. Thank you for that. Please, everybody, go and donate. Every bit counts. Listen, as I always end these stuff, I'm going to give Ed the final words. But for me, you know, I'm sending. This really hits me hard in the heart because, you know, her grandfather and I were in the trenches together. He told me on the phone yesterday, Ron, I would have took a bullet for you, and I know you would have took a bullet for me. We worked midnights out together on patrol in East New York and Brownsville, some of the shittiest places you would want to work in public housing. And we backed each other up on jobs. I was there when he was rolling around on the floor with people that were resisting arrest and vice versa. So I want to send love to my brother in blue, Kerry Troy, and his family, his lovely daughter, Ashley, and the extended family. Send strength, prayers, and positive vibes. And we mean it. It's not an empty gesture. I'll go to you, Ed, for final.
And I too want to send my condolences to the family, and hope that you can stay strong at this time. Your family needs you to stay strong. You'll get your justice, and you'll get your answers, hopefully. It's very tragic, and a young life was needlessly snuffed out, and she had all the promise in the world, and that was taken away not just from you, but it was taken away from the world, because we never know what she could have accomplished with that heart that she appears to have had in the future as an adult. What changes, what impact she could have had on the world. And that's why it's so sad when beautiful children have their lives snuffed out like this. And I'm so sorry. That said, folks, it's been a while since Ron and I have been on the air and with you all. And, we're dealing with a lot of medical issues, and with my wife, and I have a new medical issue, but I'm not ready to discuss it at this time. And, in the future I will, but right now it's like Ron and I, and it's like we got the wind knocked out of us with these issues. And with Ron and I, it's most, if not all of these things are 9/11 related. So it's weird. It's ugly headed us again. I mean, we've had several bouts of 9/11 illnesses, documented 9/11 illnesses that have been certified by the World Trade Center Clinic as having been obtained because of our work at 9/11. And it's really tough, especially around this time, the holiday season and so forth, with everybody celebrating and partying and enjoying the festivities and so forth. And Meanwhile, a lot of restless nights for Ron and I, and a lot of sleepless nights, because of the stress of everything that we're dealing with and the unknowns. The big part of it is the unknowns of where our health is going, and what's going to happen to us, and now my wife and all of this stuff. It's just so stressful. But we appreciate you being here. We appreciate your support. We know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet, and it's always great to see you all here in the chat. And you do lift us up. And when I saw just to name one, Becky B, for our friend from Ireland, and I felt like singing some Irish tunes, just to lift me up and so forth, because that always brings me joy. But thanks for being here, folks. But always, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Keep your head on a swivel, folks. I'm going to end it with some photos of Danika. This is courtesy of her mom's Facebook page. So thank you all for watching. There's just some lovely pictures of Danika Troy. May she continue to rest in peace, and may prayers and the love of God surround her family and her loved ones. They need us now more than ever. So that's it. We'll see you all on the next live stream, whenever that is. I want to thank you all for being here, and God bless. These are some of the pictures the moms were sharing of her sneakers and her jacket before she was discovered deceased. Good night from New York. Love you. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace.